no accident. Creating individual success is like having a recipe for a great meal. It only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion, the Lewis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself. Indeed, indeed. I am Lewis Howard. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, tomorrow, wherever you are. Happy to produce another show. I really enjoy producing the content, even if it's just me. I enjoy the opportunity to send out some good vibes and good energy to the universe, to America, and to the world. Hey, I have been helping impact my sphere of business for 2+ decades and counting. And I'm excited every single day to do one thing, say one thing, go one place that makes a difference. And I hope you are too. So some of you get these shows later, and you get them through different formats. Obviously, we do them through different platforms. Most of you get it through Blog Talk, where we have close to 100,000 downloads of the show. And YouTube's still growing. We'll get it up there. We'll get the views up there, but got to get the content. And so we're excited I'm excited just to continue to produce these shows. I normally do these in studio, which is where our opening comes from. And we've done them in different ways. I've done them in radio stations. I've started in my office at my house, did them at my kitchen, done these shows everywhere, over 600+ shows. So you've done them on remotes, location. If you follow me on some of my different social media, I've done them at the fair. We just done them every different places. So while I may not be a household name, I'm a household quality. I can tell you that we produce some quality content, and we're excited to do. And I say we because over the years, I've had so many people help me invest in partners, support from sponsors to tech support teams, studios, producers. Boy, you name it, the kind of people I just think as I'm doing this, how many people. And I got to run into one of my previous show producers and agents and partners, Con Williamson, guy to help me get started in the radio part of this. And so shout out to you, Con. Thank you if you're listening. Appreciate all the help you've given to Lewis Howard Live and the various different formats and programs that we have done over the years. All right, today I just want to talk a little bit about value and ROI. Without going to your Google machine, let me just stop, help you real quick. ROI is return on investment. It is a signature term for investors investing in assets, properties, deals, transactions, opportunities, any kind of thing where they have money coming in and they want money coming out. They're looking for a return on investment. And a good investor will not go into a project unless they have some understanding about the return. Not a guarantee, because nothing's guaranteed necessarily when you're doing that. It's risk-based, but you have a return on an investment. So if I invest in, I want a return on my investment of 30%, 40%, 10%, whatever that is. So any sound business person knows that. But it is also something that can be applied to life, because what I have observed is many people invest time into people, places, and things that have no ROI, no return on investment. I am constantly, as I drive up and down the street, I see people doing this on the phone all day. Talk, 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 talk. I see them holding the device in their hand. Click, 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 talk, 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 talk. What kind of return are you getting on that investment? You say it's a new year. You say you're on your grind. You say you're doing this. You say you're doing that. You're going to make $1 million. You're going to do all the things that you've written down. But you are daily investing in things that have no return for what you are expecting at the end of the year. As I said in previous shows, I think sometimes people make resolutions and goals because it makes them feel good. I used to do it. I used to write things down and I felt better after I wrote it down. Like, oh, that was awesome. I didn't get much of it done, but I felt good when I wrote it down. So I didn't get any return for it. And, someone taught me many years ago, this is not a dress rehearsal, right? This is no do over. This is the main event. You're only going to get one life. What are you doing with it? And I believe that I am guilty of it. We play the fool with so much of our time. We have wasteful conversations. We have wasteful meetings. We do wasteful things where we have no return on an investment. And so we are wondering at the end of a year, a decade, why has my life not moved forward? Because if you look back on it, how much time did you waste? I have decided to be more intentional about the meetings that I take, the conversations that I have, the Zooms that I'm on, the Microsoft Teams that I'm participating in, whatever else, because I'm at a stage in my journey where time is more important than conversation. Time is more important than concepts. Time is more important than ideas, right? And again, not, I look at time on a couple of different planes, but just the space of time where I have daily 24 hours to get something done, do something, accomplish something. I have wasted a lot of times. I have given people valuable information that has been a waste. I haven't done anything with it as far as I can tell. There have been places I've gone. I'm going, why am I here? Because this is not productive. But sometimes, okay, just to be clear, sometimes we do things out of one, obligation. If you work for some people, you have to do things out of obligation. You got to show up at events and places because you don't have a choice because you have signed on as an employee to a company organization. So you have no choice. You're going to do that. So whether you get return out of it or not, it's irrelevant. You're doing it out of obligation because you've signed on for that. The other reason I think more importantly, where people do time wasters and no ROI. And I'm going to get to the lean in to value. I'm going to get that, but I just want to set it up as to where we're going. And the number two, I think, pressure. People go places and do things out of pressure. And if you spend your life and time going to events, social things, things that not really of interest, but you're going because you feel pressured. You feel pressured. I don't really want to go, but I feel pressure. I don't want to go to the Thanksgiving dinner, but I feel pressure. I don't want to go with this person to this movie, but I feel pressured. Okay. So now you're not getting anything out of that. The other person is getting some out of it because they've pressured you into doing something or going. I can't tell you the number of times that people have pressure. Well, you need to go here. You should go here. You should go do this thing, that thing, or the other thing. And I just felt the pressure to go. Right. And not out of obligation. I didn't have a financial obligation or any other, but I felt the pressure. So sometimes we waste out of pressure. Number three, we waste out of boredom. Sometimes we don't get ROI team because we're out of things because we're just bored. We need something to do. So you pick up the phone, you start calling people. You don't have a real purpose for calling them. You call them, and all of a sudden now you've slipped in maybe some trauma and drama in the phone call. Now oh my God, I wish I'd never made that phone call. Right. But it is what happens. So number one, obligation will cause you to have a zero ROI. Number two, pressure will cause you to have a zero ROI. Number three is just boredom, right? What are you doing with your time? So there are more, but I'm just using those as an example. So the goal for 2023 and 24 and 25 is lean into value. And specifically now because of all the talk of the economy, inflation, high prices, the price of eggs. I didn't even know about that. I had to even check. I'm not really a big egg person anyway, so I had to check on that, right? The price of eggs and all these things that are going high, sky high. And all of a sudden, Now, the things that you would normally throw away, you're not throwing away eggs, right? You wouldn't let the eggs just sit in the refrigerator or go bad now, because why? The cost to replace them is so much more expensive, right? So now I need to get a better value on the eggs that I have, because I don't want to have to go replace them every day or every week, because that's expensive. I remember when butter was expensive. Butter was in short supply. And so, you were stashing your butter. During COVID, flour, for whatever reason, was in short supply, and people were hoarding flour, toilet paper. It just goes on and on, right? We've seen this over the years. Water was in short supply. So when things are in short supply, we hoard it. Why? Because we want to get the most, so we have the most value out of what we're doing. Well, it's the same thing in business. If things are shifting where deals are not coming a mile a minute, money is not growing, like on trees, and things are not happening where you can just throw away things. And if you don't return a phone call, it's not a problem. And if you don't take this deal, it's not a problem, because the next one's right behind it. If you're not in that flow and suddenly that's been stopped or delayed, now you are into a place where I've got to have value. I've got to have value for what I am doing, what I'm saying, and what I'm going. Why? Because I may not get the chance to have it again. And I kind of grew up in that um, mentality and thinking. Not a scarcity, it's different. There's a scarcity mentality, just thinks that there's never enough, and you have to hoard it and you have to keep it. And that's a little bit of what I just described. When people start hoarding things, that's just a scarcity mentality. But on other people, it's a value, is that I need to buy something and I need to get good value. If you grow up in a lower social economic family, aka poor, you had to get value out of your clothes. Why? Because you weren't going to go to the store every day, every week, or every month. You had to get value out of your shoes. You had to get value out of your books and things like that, because they weren't easily replaceable. So you learn to have a better appreciation and get a better return out of what you had. And so I believe that this may be a time where people have to start thinking is, I need to get a better return out of my time. I need to get a better return on my resources. I need to get a better return out of my money. I need to get a better return out of my relationships. And then, secondly, I need to be a better return, right? Because that's the other part of it, right? This is not just a one dimensional ride. I have to be a return. So if I'm going to invest in someone, I want to see that that person's getting a return out of what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm giving, and so forth. I don't want to be hot air, right? As you say in Texas, I don't want to be all hat, no cattle. I want to have substance. So I want to be a return as well as receive a return. So I'm going to sow for a return, but also I'm going to also be a return. And I think that that's neat. Instead of focus on the fear and the next headline and the next shoe to drop and the next whatever that feeds into the narrative of shortage, supply, inflation, high costs, gas, all of those different things. How about getting more value out of the trips that you're taking with the gas you got, right? How about not wasting what you got? I have to say it, America, we are one of the wealthiest nations on the planet, but we're one of the most wasteful nations on the planet. And so we're the only nation that goes hunting on a full stomach, right? So we don't go hunting out of necessity, we go hunting out of pleasure. So I'm not judging anyone, just an observation just on how we live in America. Other nations don't live like that, right? If they go hunting, it is for food, and they use every part of what they have caught to service and support their household and sometimes their community, right? I lived in Alaska, and Alaska was a place where the Native Americans there would go hunting, and they would go hunting for, whales or whatever was on the list, but they would use every part of that catch for something: coat, clothes, food, oil, whatever. They didn't just take the meat and throw the thing back out into the Bering Sea. No, they used every part of it. So that's the lesson. Are you using every part of your job opportunity, your relationship opportunity, the money that you have? I know we're all looking for more in some shape, form, or fashion, but are you doing well with what you have? Are you wasting it and then looking for more? And then all of a sudden something happens with a job or position and it's not there. And now you're stressed, but you didn't do good with what you had. So we have time. That's free. You don't have to go borrow that from the bank. You get that every day, right? Your gift, talents, and abilities, that's free. You don't have to go borrow or leverage that. Your relationships, they're free, some of them, but you don't have to leverage it. So every day we have some things that we're born with and or live with and have that it's free. And that's where you start. How am I treating my time? How am I treating my relationship? Okay, this is an investment time just making this show. I don't care if only one person gets on. It doesn't matter to me. I'm making the investment because I believe at some point this will have a return. So think about how in your life you can sit down and say two categories. Number one, where am I wasting time? Where am I wasting resources? Not just time, but where am I wasting resources and not getting a good ROI? Would someone invest in me? If I were putting myself up as an investment to come say, hey, invest in me. Okay, an investor was doing an audit of my life and things that I do on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, annual basis. Would they look at you and say, good investment? Good investment. We see this all the time in sports where some players don't get chosen because on paper they don't look like a good investment. But somebody comes along and sees something different about them and said, nope, this person is a good investment. And many times that person tends to rise to the top of the rankings of the particular, athletic field that they're in. But one person saw this. So just because somebody doesn't see you as a good investment, that doesn't mean you're not a good investment. You have to get in line with somebody that can see your potential, see where you have value, but you must have value. You must have something that you can add. College coaches and NFL scouts don't recruit couch potatoes. They don't go to somebody sitting on a couch and go, yeah, you look like you'd make a good NFL star. Now they get some person that can run a 4.3. They get somebody that can catch, that can run, that can, block, that can tackle, that has something about them that can help be a good return for the bigger picture of where they're going to be. That's why people hire, right? That's why we go through resumes. You know why? Because we're looking for somebody that I can bring on my team and have a good return. I believe that those are powerful insights for you. If you can kind of noodle that, think about that as it relates to your own life. This program goes all over the world, so everybody has different kind of set of circumstances. But one thing is in common. We all have time. We all have resources. We all have gifts, talents, abilities, relationships, and so forth. And you got to find a way to lean into the value and get the highest ROI in turn. I'm Lewis Howard, and I approve this message. We'll see you again on another episode of Lewis Howard Live. Every great champion knows that success, overcoming, and winning in life is no accident. Creating individual success is like having a recipe for a great meal. It only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion, the Lewis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself.